Dave Mixner helped teach his friends Bill and Hillary Clinton about that cause. He helped mobilize his community so that last fall, 1 in every 7 votes cast for Bill Clinton, more than the margin of victory, was cast by a gay or lesbian voter. We have come far from the time 12 years ago when we first wrote gay and lesbian rights into the platform of the Democratic Party. I was warned at the time not to force that demand. It was, I was told, dangerous in politics. And in truth, politicians were afraid even to utter the words gay and lesbian. When I spoke at a gay and lesbian event during that campaign, some wanted to close it to the press. I refused to do that, and the cameras came. And I was proud of those supporting me, and I would not hide. The 1980 platform was a step forward. It followed the defeat in 1977 of the California initiative to deny gay men and lesbians the right to teach in public schools. The campaign against that proposition was led by Dave Mixner and his partner Peter Scott. In fact, I remember David coming to see me about gay rights in the 1970s, and I remember others like Jim Foster, who has now died of AIDS, who worked so hard to help me in 1980 and who moved my conscience along the way. The nation has learned a lot in these years about gay and lesbian rights. And in a very real sense, the greatest of all of our teachers has been David Mixner. For too long, the denial of gay and lesbian rights has been an acceptable form of prejudice in America, a form of discrimination based on ignorance, misunderstanding, fear, and false morality. So I'm proud to say here tonight that in this new year, and in this Congress, and in this new administration, I will be the principal Senate sponsor of the Gay and Lesbian Civil Rights Act of 1993. At last, At last, with the Clinton administration, our tasks on so many fronts will no longer be just holding the line. It is time, long past time, to protect choice, to stand up for basic civil rights, to take down the barriers in the military, to cure AIDS, to end discrimination based on sexual orientation. It is time. It is time, in short, to make life livable and America truly America for 40 million and more of our fellow citizens. But we also know that each time we advance, the hate mongers rise up again, fanning the flames of prejudice and fear. We all remember the spectacle of bigotry that was the 1992 Republican Convention. Bigotry against working women, against people of color, against gay men and lesbians. Yet we also take heart from one clear fact. That convention did not attract voters. It repelled America, and it's become a byword for political disaster. As a community, gay men and lesbians have been pilgrims on freedom's road. You have stood together with your talent, your voices, and your strength. With courage, you confronted a terrible epidemic, and you warned us about it. At the threshold of liberty came tragedy, but you would not be deterred by a new fear and intolerance. You have gone forward. The irresistible force of your faith has met a seemingly immovable object, and the immovable object has moved. Now, in honoring David Mixner, we honor a person whose life has been spent pushing boulders up the mountain of justice. For the path he has traveled and the progress he has made, we now honor David Mixner. On behalf of the young who will not be ashamed of their identity, we honor David Mixner. On behalf of a nation brought closer to the truth of its being, we honor David Mixner. On behalf of those who have gone before, we honor David Mixner for carrying on Harvey Milk's belief that none of us are free until all of us are free. Let me close with some words of my brother Robert Kennedy that describe what we are all trying to say about David Mixner. Each time a man stands up for an ideal or acts to improve the lot of others or strikes out against injustice, he sends forth a tiny ripple of hope, and crossing each other from a million different centers of energy and daring, those ripples build a current that can sweep down the mightiest walls of oppression and resistance. That has been David Mixner's journey from civil rights to the anti-war movement to the liberation of his own community. Tomorrow marks a great victory for him, for all of you, for all of us, because at last these mighty walls of oppression and resistance are finally coming down.
They are dealing with some new, deadly, sexually transmitted disease.
If Mr. Reagan were the president of any corporation in this country, he would be fired.
We want justice! We want justice!
We are strong. We are powerful. We will elect our own.
Don't sit here and try to convince the American audience out here that some things aren't better.
I have sinned against you, my Lord.
I'm allowing myself to dream again.
Over 1 million Americans are now HIV positive.
Mr. President, your family has AIDS, and we're dying, and you're doing nothing about it.
I could just see that the message was getting through, that the years of denial and death regarding this disease may be starting to be over.
I think this is such a personal and such a symbolic victory. Instead of death and destruction, what we're seeing with celebrating David today is triumph and hope and victory. And for many young people who have just come out, who are getting ready to come out, who are thinking about coming out, here's someone who came out and whose gayness made life better.
For many of us, we had just recently come out to our parents, and that happened in the process of knowing David. I mean, I couldn't wait for the convention, and suddenly I was a part of it, but I was a part of it as an openly gay person.
David, I think, would have done